And now, lastly, this is going to be kind of similar to League Two, except League the W League has more expansion sides, I think, compared to League Two. The W seems to get new teams with new branding as affiliates of the men's side. And I think that kind of helps keep the intrigue. I'm talking about the Ivy. I'm talking about Raleigh Madison. See up here, you tend to see the
Riveters.
Liberty. Yeah.
Yeah,
The what?
Greenville Riveters, Pittsburgh.
Yep, the Riveters. So you tend to see these unique identities on the women's side. So outside of those, some of those teams with their own identities, there are some high expectations in this league. And one of the biggest ones for me here that I'm going to straight up say is that Minnesota Aura, the team that's pushing for a professional team, particularly the NWSL, they're continually pushing the envelope. Made this man cry last year during an interview with Cassidy Sabinski, the designer of the Minnesota Aura kits. And they're constantly pushing the envelope, doing the work, and really making the W League almost a professional league in a way, in name only, given everything about it. So I have high expectations for the Aura of Minnesota.
Yeah, same. Um, I have high expectations for Madison. One, because this one already came out and absolutely fell in love with it already. So that's not fair.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I talked about Pittsburgh. I actually really liked what they did last year. I know it wasn't your cup of tea,
It was not.
but I felt like you could appreciate what they were doing
Yeah.
and that dedication that they were coming out with the schematics kit and representing Rosie in different
Yes.
ways. That I hope they can keep going with that. Hopefully, they don't run out of creative ideas for that.
Yeah, and I think that is one of my things here with some of these expansion sides, which leads me into point number two. There was a little bit of a decline. And I think one of the problems I personally think that the W League has kind of ran into is while they try to lead into this like female led, let's honor the powerful women in our history in our cities. After they do that amazing idea, what else do they have as an identity for their clubs? And I think the Ivy have done good with that. They've stuck with the Ivy, and every year they've been really creative. The Liberty kind of died off a little bit with their designs, it's a little bit, but I think clubs like Minnesota Aura, they have done well with just having something that isn't just tied to the women's side, like the Borealis, the lights, the quilt, or as Asheville with their quilts on League Two W side. And I think clubs that are able to build an identity and then every now and then doing something to honor the women, the history, and all of that, you tend to then have a complementary design that can continually produce something that's creative. Like if this is Madison's only thing, only nod to it, and then they do something really creative that really just talks about Madison in general, I think it will be better long term creativity wise.
Yeah, and I feel like just as like kit appreciators, it's easier for us to appreciate when the kit itself is appreciating its city, its players, its town, its culture. So I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
but especially when you're an inaugural team and you're saying like, "Hey, check out the women's side," you are kind of selling
Oh, you
that
are.
that woman power, which is good to sell and definitely should be continued to hyped. But I can agree. Like I'm going to talk about this forward Madison or not. Sorry,
Yeah. Rally
Madison Rain,
Madison.
Rally Madison. I thought
Yep.
it's
Rally
not Rain.
Madison.
Okay, Rally Madison kit because it's still giving a nod to what Forward Madison has been doing with their Hogue kits with the
Exactly.
sash. And then the flower on it is this very specific flower. that has to do with Madison. So love the fact that it's not just a pretty flower because we're girls. Like no, like there's reasonings behind it. Same
Yeah.
thing with what Racing Louisville did uh inaugural season. I know it's in WSL, but with inaugural season, they came out with the lilies kit because we
Yes.
have the lilies for our races.
Yeah.
So our horse races. So like there was reasons behind like choosing what flowers we're choosing. There's
Yes.
more than just saying like, oh, we're the women's team, we wear flowers. Like I think more men's teams should be having flowers on their kits.
I don't disagree there. Don't
Yeah, so
disagree.
then it's not a weird like, oh, the women's team wears flowers and the men's team doesn't.
Right. Yeah. I think what a lot of clubs try to profit off the hey, we're a women's team. Let's do something that's more feminine or a little bit
Right.
more attracts to them instead of just making something that looks good, objectively looks good. And I think you started to see that with some teams, and I think some of them who didn't know where to go design wise. And I think more clubs will going forward, especially from the Liberty. I think they will recover and rebound, and I think more will. I just think it's a matter of okay, the market's changed. We need to change our approach. Let's adapt.
Yeah. And honestly, Greenville kind of fell off a little bit this year, just as a whole.
Yeah,
Triumph came out with the nice
classic.
classic kit,
That was
but
good.
that was the third kit. That was later on in the season. There are other kits. There was it like a park,
Yeah, it was like
uh,
Pride Park, which
Pride
was a
Park.
cool nod.
Yeah, but like a lot of their other stuff that they were giving nods to for their city, for their area, were still falling short. So I'm not going to put too much on Liberty individually for that because the entire city, the entire organization was kind of failing in my view.
Yeah, I will say,
Yeah,
when it comes to Rally Madison, Austin goes a clean slate will be probably really good for the Rally Madison side because for Madison had produced so many hits. I want to emphasize that in bold letters. Um,
what?
I know, uh, and so it could do really well. Um,
There's
yeah,
so many
it's just
kids.
interesting. Oh my god, there's so
Yeah,
many comments.
I know. I was talking what Ryan was talking about. He was talking about like the butterflies and the bees for Muhammad Ali. We actually had a Muhammad Ali scarf
Mm-hmm.
a long time ago, and like I don't know if there's certain rules that you have to do to work with Muhammad Ali uh,
Yeah.
family or the foundation. I just wish they would continue that relationship.
Yeah, I think that's something that you could easily foster into to kind of just talk about it, right?
Yeah, as I
And one
said,
of
like
the other, yeah,
sorry, just I'm gonna keep on that tangent for a second because
go.
if anything, so as a Kentucky boy, I personally feel like Lexington has been trying to dig into that like Kentucky identity. You know, they had the bourbon kit. They every year even their simple home kits are something to do with horse racing.
Yep. And then the
Uh,
ice kit
and
with
then
the
of course the
university.
icicle kit for the Kentucky Wildcats. So they've really been digging into that, Kentucky Pride stuff that Louisville has not tapped into, even um, outside of the fact that we've been template kits.
Yeah.
Like we had one year that we had a Muhammad Ali thing. Usually we do have some sort of bourbon collaboration with
Yes.
makers. Like actually have a Maker's Mark bottle that's purple dipped and has the dual logos, has the racing and city logos on it, and it's signed by both coaches. So
Mm,
my parents got that for me as a
nice.
surprise. So because it sucks not living in Louisville anymore and being a Louisville fan, I can't just like hop on over to the liquor barn and buy those.
Yeah.
So like there's like been like every once in a while like there's collaborations, but it's just like a one item thing here, one thing there, and not like in a full kit or a full like line. We did do the my morning jacket one though.
They did. And
That was
then also the keep Louisville weird, right?
Yeah, the green ones. Yeah, so there's a couple collaborations that trying to represent Louisville. I just personally, maybe I'm just looking at the kits, but I feel like Lexington's doing a better job at that.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with the women's side really kind of crushing it too, both on and off the pitch,
Oh,
design
they are
wise.
destroying on the pitch right now.
Yes, they are. What I'll also say, another club that we forgot, thanks Frank, is Salmon Bay. They did really good inaugural, and I think that this is one of those things that gets into the first point. Can they continue it? Ballard's done well at continuing the trend, but will Salmon Bay continue that? Just like expansion sides in the W League have done well the first hits. They've done well to be like, hey, here's us, here's our colors. Do they follow up with that? It'll be interesting to kind of keep note of. And then also Sister Tail says, Tulsa and OKC have said they plan to field women's side in the future. It will be very interesting to see how they look, and how much, if they get treated like the Indy 11 side, where the women's side just an offshoot, or do they get a different brand identity, or even a Lexington approach, who they get their own kits for different
Yeah,
leagues. It'll be
I
interesting.
I always prefer that. Like, I agree with what you were talking about how like in the 11, this is a club. We are a club. Duh. So every team should have the same badge. We are representing this badge, this crest, this team,
Yes.
this club.
Yes.
But I like the idea of what Lexington does is that the men's get this kit, the women's get this kit. Sometimes it has different sponsors too. Like, I
Yeah.
know Lexington women's at first had the big ass fans uh sponsor with the big donkey butt on it.
Yeah, they did.
So stuff like that just makes sense to me. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I also like what we've noticed from West Seattle and even Ballard Salmon Bay. They shared an alternative kit. So there was a bit of a shared history, but then they also have their own stuff. And
Yeah.
I think if they keep their own, if they have the same crest, but then instead of doing like inverse, they have one or two, like they could share the same home kit, but then maybe have their own alternate, their own away kits, because the lead color combination will be different in each of them. I don't know what that could look like, but I like the idea of having a shared identity and sharing something, but then also having your own pathway to be different, but it doesn't have to be completely different branding.
Yeah.
It is an interesting thought experiment for clubs and what is different. And I will say this. Scissor Tails, one of the first away fans they interacted with were Louisville fans, and the bourbon they brought to share was absolutely incredible.
We know our bourbon, man. We know our
You do
bourbon.
know your bourbon. You do know your bourbon. So yeah, let us know if there are any other W side clubs that we should keep our eye on. Obviously, I will keep a fan eye out on our friends at Sioux Falls who did really well last year. So glad that they moved over from the WPSL, and to see what else to expect from the W League, because there's a lot of teams. It's hard to keep track of all of
Yeah,
them.
it's like League Two. Like there's just thousands of each one.
And rapidly expanding compared to like League Two is somewhat more established, so there's not much expansion. The W League churning out new teams, which I love to see. The women's side needs more teams, but yeah, gotta keep up.